Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hey there, Nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back in another episode of the Golden Age. This is a series of Warhammer Fantasy Battle Reports for 8th edition, and this is Battle Report number 143. It is a 3,000 point battle that is fought between my friend Big Puka as well as myself. My friend Big Puka is playing the Blood of the Fold, which is a 3,000 point Khorne Legion of Chaos army, and I will be playing my army, the Miragliano Mercenaries, which is a 3,000 point Dogs of War army. So in case you're tuning in for the very first time, my studio has just recently completed our 3,000 point Dogs of War army, called the Miragliano Mercenaries. And just like always, whenever we do a brand new army for this channel, we're going to take this army through its paces and actually have it fight against every single army in our collection. So this is the second battle report that the Dogs of War will be participating in. I barely survived my very first fight due to sheer dumb luck against High Elves. So this time now I'm cutting my teeth against Khorne Legion of Chaos. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to play some background music real quick. As the music is playing, we will show you guys photos of both armies as well as the rosters. If you want to see exactly what we're bringing for this battle report, go ahead and pause, take a look at your own leisure, or check in the description box below for more details. So that being said, let's get this battle report on a roll.
Crom, I've never prayed you before. I have no tongue for it. No one, not even you, will remember if we were good men or bad, why we fought, or why we died. No. All that matters is that two stood against many. That's what's important. Balor pleases you, Crom. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge. And if you do not listen, then the hell with you.
Assemble the army!
So the scenario rules for this one are quite simple. It is Battle Line. It is the most typical game of battle report that we play on this channel for Warhammer Fantasy, with standard deployment as well as standard victory conditions. So now that we're done with the scenario rules, let's go ahead and talk about deployments real quick. So first of all, let's start with my deployment area for the Miragliano Mercenaries, which is my 3,000 point Dogs of War army. So up in the front, in the vanguard on the left hand side, that is a unit called the Thugs of Tabaro. Is a unit of 5 Stratiotes with light crossbows, also mounted on war horses, just kind of taking up your typical light cavalry kind of chaff position in order to distract my enemy's cavalry forces. So starting on the deployment on the left hand side of my main battle line, we have Le Estase, which is my Revolt. Right next to them on the front, on the right hand side, that unit is called the Verezzo Gunners. It is a unit of 20 handgunners with standard bearer as well as musician. They're packing handguns, light armor, hand weapons, as well as devices for that 4-up armor save against shooting attacks, which shouldn't be a problem considering I'll go against Khorne Legion of Chaos on this one. Now right behind is a unit called the Golden Company. The Golden Company is a unit of 26 Paymasters bodyguards. They have a standard bearer as well as a musician. They're good with halberds as well as heavy armor, and they also have the Midas's bodyguard stubborn with the stubborn upgrade, and the reason why is because in that unit leading it is the special character Midas the Mean. He is a Paymaster special character. He's got his treasure map as well as the crest of Midas as well as his pay cart, which is occupied by Sheikh Yadoush, which is a secondary special character, and of course he provides the Midas's bodyguards upgrade for that unit. In the center of my deployment, I have Perazzo's Lost Legion. It's a regiment of renown. It's led by a champion named Perazzo, who's got a hand weapon, crossbow, as well as heavy armor. This unit also has a standard bearer as well as a musician. They have 20 crossbowmen with 26 pikemen as well as light armor, and that unit's also carrying the standard of discipline, with giving them +1 leadership. And the reason why is because leading that unit is Gorlok Bowpowder, the Saint of Sartosa. He's my merchant prince, who is my general. At the same time, he's using his best money can buy option in order to give these guys his magic standard. He's got a brace of pistols as well as a shield. He's also packing the Ogre Blade as well as the Armor of Destiny. He has the forward march stratagem, so that way all my units within 12 inches who are infantry anyways can move up 6 inches forward. He's also mounted on a Barded Warhorse. Also in that unit are 3 spec characters. First of all is Maximilian Schreiber, my hireling wizard lord. He's level 4 wizard with the lore of metal. Decided to change up a little bit for this battle report. He's got Searing Doom, Enchanted Blades of Iban, Glittering Scales, again his Golden Hounds, as well as the final transmutation spells. He's also got the Staff of Fickle Fortune, giving him that +3 D3 on his casting ability, as well as a Talisman Endurance for 5 of ward save. And in that unit as well are my 2 special characters, Gotrek and Felix. Gotrek, of course, is packing Gotrek's Rune Axe, and Felix is packing the Worm Slayer Blade. On the right hand side is another unit of 20 handgunners called the Lucchini Rifles. This is a unit of 20 handgunners with standard bearing musician. They have handguns, hand weapons, as well as light armor and devices. And right behind them is the Curse Company, as originally renowned, led by Richter Kruger. He's got heavy armor as well as shield, and is equipped with Blight, his magic sword, as well as the Dark Gem of the Cursed. He's got a unit of 30 skeleton warriors, a standard bearing musician. They have light armor, shields, hand weapons, as well as the Banner of Malediction. And on the right hand side are my 2 rare choices. On the top of the tower is La Agonia, which is my mercenary great cannon, and on the right hand side is Bronzino's Galbert guns. I have Bronzino. He's got 2 hand weapons, a pistol, as well as heavy armor. He's mounted on a Warhorse, and he has 2 gun batteries of 3 crew each, with 1 pack horse as well for each cannon. And that makes it my deployment on this one. So moving on to the Blood of the Fold on the left-hand side, that unit is called the Scyla Destroyers. Unit of 8 Chaos Knights of Khorne with full command. They have Ensorced Weapon, Chaos Armor Shields, as well as Barded Chaos Steeds. They got the standard discipline, giving them +1 to the leadership. And leading that unit is a character named Arbaal the Destroyer. He's the Exalted Hero of Khorne, who's also the Army's Battle Standard Bearer. He's got Chaos Armor as well as a Barded Daemonic Mount. He's packing the Sword of Might as well as the Helmet of Eyes to give him always strike first. Right next on the right-hand side is a unit called the Black Legion. Is a unit of 24 Chaos Warriors of Khorne with full command. They have halberds, chaos armor, as well as shields, as well as the Banner of Rage. Making up the center of this deployment, we have a unit called the Marked Men. It's a unit of 26 Chaos Marauders of Khorne with full command. They have great weapons, light armor, as well as shields, and leading that unit is the special character Scyla Anfingrimm. He's also the general for this army. He's also got the brass collar of Khorne. And right next on the right hand side, that unit is called the Flayerkin. It is a unit of 22 Bloodletters of Khorne with standard bearer musician. They have Hellblades as well as a Banner of Swiftness, and leading that unit are 2 characters. First of all, we have the special character Skulltaker. He's got the Slayer Sword as well as the Cloak of Skulls, as well as the Sanguine Skinner. He's a Herald of Khorne with Hellblade, as well as the greater Locus of Fury. And on the right hand side, taking vanguard position up forward, is the Fangs of Nier, which is a unit of 5 Chaos Warhounds, and right behind them is the last of the rare choices called the Blood Riders, unit of 3 Skull Crushers of Khorne with musician standard bearer. They have ensorced weapons, chaos armor, shields, as well as riding juggernauts of Khorne. And that makes the deployment for this one. So with deployment over with, let's go ahead and talk about battle plans. Alright, so now that we're done talking about deployments real quick, let's go ahead and talk about battle plans real fast. So, my battle plan on this one is a little straightforward. Pretty much this Dogs of War army is designed to be doing a lot of shooting, as well as a lot of defense. I fight pretty much defensively with this army. So as you can see, I have my main infantry forces right here in the middle. I do have my handgunners running interference. I did use my forward march strategy in order to move up my handgunners 6 inches forward, so that way they can be within range of opening fire with their guns directly into the Khorne Legion of Chaos. So right off the bat, I do have some shooting. I also have my Paymaster's Bodyguard of the Golden Company, as well as the Curse Company to defend my flanks as well. At the same time, I also have my Bronzino's Galloper guns getting ready to open fire directly onto these Chaos Warhounds. Hopefully I can blast those Skull Crushers before they actually make it across the battlefield as well. I do have my cannon Overwatch, that way I can pretty much target everything within the battlefield. At the same time, I also have my Astasi, which is my Revolt, in order to open fire directly onto these Khorne units over here across the battlefield. I also have my Stratiotes, my Thugs to bar to run interference, that way they can also hopefully distract these guys, make them fail their frenzy test and have them charge forward. Now I do have my work cut out for me. My opponent Big Puka does have a lot of high numbered infantry. The softest target will be his Marked Men, which is his Chaos Marauders. He has Chaos Chosen as well as Demons on either flank. At the same time, if you also look over here on the side over here, we also have Karanak as well as 5 Flesh Hounds. But the reason why is because those guys are off on the side because they haven't deployed yet for ambushers. So I do have my work cut out for me there as well. Pretty much my plan is to whittle down my enemy's forces by using long-range fire of my handguns as well as my crossbow, and then countercharge to try to finish them off that way. And that's pretty much my battle plan for this one. So with the battle plan's over with, let's go ahead and go directly to the top of turn number 1, and both Big Puka and I roll for initiative to see which of us will be going first. We will be right back after the turn 1 movement phase. Alright, so we're back at the end of turn number 1 for the movement phase on this one. So my friend Big Puka Magic get the initiative on this one, and this is also the beginning of the magic phase as well. So let's go talk about the movement phase real quick. So first of all, he declares a charge with the Fangs of Nier. Luckily for me, though, I decided to declare directly against Bronzino's Galloper gun, so because I decided to flee as reaction. Luckily for me, I barely escaped with 2 inches to spare, so because that, my guys go back 6 inches. The Fangs of Nier, of course, fail, so they move up forward 6 inches for their failed charge. He decides to commit anyways, and that's exactly where they end up. At the same time, he also declared a charge with his guys, the Scions of the Destroyer, as well, led by Arbaal the Destroyer. Arbaal the Destroyer declared a charge directly against my Thugs of Tabaro, my Stratiotes. I fled as a result, got away. Unfortunately for my buddy, though, he did fail his charge, so because he only goes forward 5 inches, and that's pretty much where he goes there. Now, for the rest of his army, he pretty much marches it up forward, starting off with the Black Legion, followed by the Marked Men, as well as the Sanguine Skinners, heading directly towards the center. At the same time, he also sends up the Skull Crushers there for the Blood Riders, having them move up their max movement allowance, marching up forward on the right-hand side as well. Now, at the beginning of the Magic phase, he doesn't have any wizards, but he does get to roll on the Reign of Chaos chart. Unfortunately for me, my opponent rolled an 8, which is the Dark Prince Thirst, which means that every single unit has to take a d6 roll that's unengaged. And of course, if I roll a 6, I have to take a leadership test on 3d6, and the difference in the number of wounds I take. A couple of my units did get hit with that spell. First of all, the Paymaster's Bodyguard, the Golden Company, took a hit, so that part's going to be kind of rough. Same thing with Leagionia, which is my great cannon, my mercenary cannon up here. It also failed, so it will take a leadership test as well as both of my gun batteries from Bronzino's Galloper guns. So right off the bat, I am off to a fantastic start with the Magic phase. So with the with the move phase over with, we'll come back with the aftermath of the action phase. We'll skip shooting and combat because no one's engaged in close combat and Khorne has no shooting, and we'll talk about exactly what happens for the Magic phase. So coming back from the aftermath of the Magic phase, I actually quite got lucky on this one. I didn't take any casualties for the Golden Company or as well as La Agonia, my great cannon as well. It remained unscathed. Same thing with Bronzino as well as one of his cannon crews. However, the second cannon crew though did take 2 wounds, so because I did lose 2 guys from that part, so that part was kind of tragic. But all in all though, pretty lucky all things considering. So now that we're done talking about the Magic phase as well as turn number 1 for the Khorne Legion of Chaos, we now go directly to the bottom of the turn for my army, the Dogs of War. I'll be right back after the movement phase. So we are back at the bottom of turn number 1 after my movement phase. As you can see, not much movement really happened. Like I said before, my army is largely a defensive army, so movement is not really a thing for me too much. Besides, most of my shooting elements are move or shoot, so because of that, not much really happened. The only dramatic movement for the most part took over here with the Cursed Company. I have them shuffle a little bit over to the left-hand, right-hand side, so that way they can intercept whatever comes their way, whether it's the Fangs of Nier, or if it happens to be the Blood Riders from those Skull Crushers, so that way I'm always prepared for whatever's coming that way from that direction. At the same time, over here with my Stratiotes from the Thugs of Tabaro, I have them do a quick reform because they're skirmishers, they can do that. Have them scoot back a little bit so that way they can open fire with their light crossbows against the Scions of the Destroyer. Same thing with having him open fire with my Revolt Leastase. So because of that, pretty much makes my move phase on this one. So the move phase over with, we go directly to the Magic phase. Alright, so we are back now with the Magic phase. Magic phase is actually pretty good for me. Managed to get 12 power dice on the Magic phase as well. And since my opponent doesn't have any wizards, he really relies on magic resistance to protect his guys for the most part. So because of that, I had a pretty dominating Magic phase. First of all, I was able to get off the boosted version of Glitterings of Searing Doom off directly onto the Black Legion. As you can see, I managed to kill 4 of those guys, which is all kinds of fantastic. Unfortunately, I flooded my rolls. I actually got a pretty good number of hits. I think I got like 10, but I just flooded my rolls with a 3+ on those guys, or it kills me as I could. So because of that, I could only kill 4, so pretty sad about that part. However, what was really nice though, I was able to get off Glittering Robes off directly onto Prazzo's Lost Legion, so now these guys are armor safe 4 up, which is going to be really helpful as well, especially if I get into close combat here in the next turn. At the same time, I was able to get the Magical Blades of Ibon, which gives them +1 to hit, as well as Armor Piercing, which is going to be kind of nice as well, especially for my crossbows, which is going to be all kinds of awesome as well. Now, I did try to cast the full version of the Final Transmutation. I did try to cast directly onto the Black Legion. Unfortunately, though, my opponent took all 6 of his power dice and used it to stop that spell from getting off. So because I wasn't able to get that one off, but all things considered, though, pretty happy with the buffs I was able to achieve. So with the Magic phase over with, we go directly to the Shooting phase, and we'll be right back after this. Back with the end of the Shooting phase. It's actually quite lackluster, all things considered, but then again, I'm also going against Warriors of Chaos, so that's probably what ended up happening. So first of all, the first thing I did is I opened fire with one of my Bronzino's Galloper guns, opening fire with a Grape Shot, managed to wipe out the last of the Fangs of Nier, so I killed those Warhounds, which is all kinds of awesome. I then have my other cannon open fire directly into the Blood Riders. Managed to kill one of those guys as well. Managed to kill the Standard Bearer, so because of that unit is now only a third, which is absolutely fantastic. Meanwhile, from there, I then had the La Agonia, which is my great cannon, open fire directly into the, the Signs of the Destroyer. I was able to kill one of those guys as well. At the same time, I had my Ostradiotes as well as Leastasi, which is my Revolt. Both those guys opened fire directly into what remained of the Signs of the Destroyer. I was able to kill 3 of those guys with my Revolt, and I didn't manage to kill nobody with my Stradiotes, which is perfectly fine from there. Now, from there, of course, I had the Varenzo Gunners, which are my 20 hand gunners over here, open fire directly into the Black Legion. I think I was able to pop off 2 or 3 guys from that unit as well, which is okay. At the same time, the biggest flub, though, took Orlex over here with my Lucchini rifles. Now, my Lucchini rifles actually did really well. They actually managed to get 10 wounds when they opened fire with their handguns, so that part was epic. Unfortunately, Big Puka just rolled out of the box for his ward saves, so I was able to kill 2 of those guys, which is all kinds of horrible. So because of those guys are largely okay as well. Now, with using the Enchanted Blades Iban, I had my crossbowmen from Perazzo's Lost Legion open fire with their crossbows directly into the marked men. I was able to kill 8 of those guys, but of course they don't break because they're marked Khorne and they're frenzies, so they're immune to psychology. And that pretty much makes it the shooting phase on this one. So now that the shooting phase is over with, we skip close combat because no one's engaged in close combat, and we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for Big Puka and the Blood of the Fold. We'll be right back after the movement phase. Alright, so we're back at the top of turn number 2, and this is after the movement phase, and as you can see across the table, some pretty dramatic movement has taken place. So first of all, my opponent decides to declare a charge with the Signs of the Destroyer. So Big Puka does send the Signs of the Destroyer directly into my Thugs of Jabaro. I, of course, stand and shoot reaction with my light crossbows, and did absolutely nothing to these guys. These Stradiotes are not long for the world, and they're going to be dying here pretty soon. At the same time, over here on the right-hand side, he does declare a charge with the Blood Riders, going directly into my Cursed Company, so because of those guys will be engaged in close combat with them. As well, at the same time, the Sanguine Skinners also go directly into my Lucchini rifles, so because those Bloodletters will be able to fight against my riflemen. Of course, I have no illusion that my riflemen are going to survive this. At the same time, I was able to clink off a couple of guys with handgun fire, so that part was kind of nice, but at the same time, though, kind of rough, all things considered. Those guys are dead, with fact. Now, unfortunately for my buddy Big Puka, he does try to declare a charge with the Black Legion. Unfortunately, he flubs his roll, so he only goes forward 4 inches. I do open fire with the Varenzo Gunners as a reaction, so because I was able to kill a couple more of these guys, which is kind of nice. At the same time, my opponent did exactly the same thing with his the marked men. They declared a charge, and unfortunately, he flipped his rolls as well, only goes forward 3 inches. And of course, opened fire with my Perazzo's Lost Legion, opening fire with those crossbows, whittling this unit down to almost a quarter of its size. So that part is kind of nice as well. Probably what's going to happen is I'm going to probably ignore these guys and use my Perazzo's Lost Legion to deal with these dudes as well. Unfortunately for my buddy Big Puka, Karanak, as well as his Flesh Terrors did not arrive onto the table yet. They did not arrive for ambushers, and that pretty much makes the move phase for turn number 2. So with turn number 2 over with the movement phase, we go directly to the magic phase as well as combat. Alright, so now we're back with the combination of the magic phase as well as the combat phase. Unfortunately for my buddy Big Puka, he did roll Snake Eyes for the Winds of Magic, so because it means the winds do recede, which means that he loses anybody through demonic instability, it counts twice as many for the loss. But it wasn't that much of an issue though, because you see combat pretty much went his way over here. So first of all, the Flarekin just slaughtered the Lucchini rifles. I think they managed to kill 9 of my guys. I think I killed 1 in exchange. Needless to say, I lost by a landslide, so I had to flee because I couldn't roll Snake Eyes. So because I think I flipped back like 6 inches, they've charged forward 11. So as you can see there, the Flarekin just slaughtered the rest of the Lucchini rifles and land just stop short of this building where my cannon Agonia is located at. Meanwhile, over here on the right-hand side, my unit, the Cursed Company, did a good job of tar pitting this unit of the Blood Crushers, which are the unit Skull Crushers rather. I'm sorry. Which is the unit called the Blood Riders. In the end, they're able to kill 9 of my guys, was all said and done between casualties as well as instability tests for the undead. I wasn't able to do anything back to these guys, which isn't all that surprising. After all, this unit is designed to be a tar pit, so no harm, no foul there. And at the same time, the very last combat took place over here. As you can see, they managed to, the Signs of the Destroyer had no problem whatsoever slaughtering the last of my Stradiotes and the Thugs of Jabaro, and now they're facing off against Leastasi, which is my Revolt. And that pretty much makes it the combat phase, and end of turn number 2 for the Blood of the Fold for the Khorne Legion of Chaos. So with that being said, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 2 for my army, the Dogs of War of the Miragliano Mercenaries. We'll be right back after the movement phase. Alright, so now we're back at the bottom of number 2, and this is after the move phase. Once again, as you can see, my army didn't really move all that much because it really doesn't need to. Most of my shooting elements are either move or shoot, so I'm pretty much like dwarves that way. So I kept the Varenzo gunners located as where they're located, so that way they can whittle down the rest of the Black Legion. Same thing with the Golden Company. They're there to supporting the left-hand flank of my army. At the same time, I also kept Praz's Lost Legion located where they're looking at. But if you notice, 2 guys are missing, and the reason why is because I said I'd charge in Gotrek as well as Felix. They send directly into the back of the Flare Kid. Now, I know you're thinking, like, Iron Major, not Iron Major, Commander Chiefscape, why are you doing this? Well, here's why. I want to have Gotrek fight Skulltaker. That's the whole reason why I did this. I think that my boys could actually survive this, as crazy as it may sound, and it's a good test to see exactly how strong Gotrek and Felix are, especially against a unit of Bloodletters. So we'll see exactly what happens. I mean, who knows? This could actually be really, really epic, or it could be really, really bad as well. But, you know, I'm willing to see exactly what ends up happening. Now, at the same time over here, of course, my Curse Company is still engaged in close combat with the Blood Riders, so nothing much you can do there. But Bronzino, as well as his Galbert guns, have basically skirted around the Skull Crushers and set up shot right here right next to this abandoned building, putting them in perfect line of sight in order to open fire with their cannons directly into this unit as well. So I'm going to do that. At the same time, I'm really excited to see exactly what Leastase, my Revolt, does exactly against the Scions of the Destroyer. So now that my unit movement phase is over with, we go directly to the magic phase. We'll come back after this. Alright, so we're back for the rest of the turn after the magic phase as well as the shooting phase. As you can see, quite a lot of dramatic things have occurred at this time. So for the first thing I ended up doing is I casted Glittering Scales directly onto Gotrek Gurnison as well as Felix Jaeger, giving them 5-up armor save as well as the normal 4-up ward save they get from Gotrek's Doom special rule as well. At the same time, I also used the last of my power dice in order to cast off Enchanted Blades once again on Prowl's Last Legion, giving that +1 to hit as well as armor piercing. So from the shooting phase, of course, what ended up happening is that, as you can see over here, I managed to finish off the very last of the Scions of the Destroyer, opening fire with my Revolt. I got 14 shots off on that one, managed to wipe out that unit right off the face of the earth, which is all kinds of cool. And with a combination of fire from the Varenzo gunners, as well as Le Agonia, which is my cannon, as well as Bronzino's Galloper guns, we're able to wipe out almost the entirety of the Black Legion, only leaving one guy alive. Obviously, this guy is breaking for the hills, because he has to roll insane courage in order to stand his ground. Now from there, of course, I then had Praz's Last Legion open fire with their crossbows directly into the last of the marked men, killing all those guys to the last man, leaving Scyla Anfingrimm all by himself. And for a last insult injury, I then had Gorlock Backpowder, my Merchant Prince, open fire with his brace of pistols, managed to put 1 wound directly onto him as well. And that pretty much makes up the shooting phase for that part. So with the shooting phase over with, we go directly to the combat phase. Alright, so we go back to the combat phase. As you can see, the fight between, what's his name? I forgot his name already. Skulltaker, very good. Skulltaker as well as Gotrek Gurnison actually goes exactly as planned. Luckily for me, though, I actually got hit twice with Heroic Killing Blow from Skulltaker, but luckily for me, though, I was able to use my 4 ward save from Gotrek's Doom. Managed to save those 2. I got incredibly lucky on that one. Gotrek struck back. Managed to hit him 4 times because I got to do 4 more attacks. Managed to score 7 hits in all and on him. Managed to slip 2 wounds through, which is enough to kill Skulltaker, and just like Skulltaker gets killed. And then from there, of course, Felix Jaeger then challenges the Sanguine Skinner. Managed to put that guy MIA as well, and kill that guy, finishing up that last of the demonic units. Now at that point, my buddy Big Puka decides to call the game at this point, because all he has really left are basically just 2 units, and he doesn't know if his ambush is ever going to show up on the table or not. So that pretty much ends the game at this point with another victory for the Dogs of War. So the Miragliano Mercenaries are now 2-0. We're going to go directly to the after action report because this game is now officially over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Alright, so now it's time for the After Action Report. This is part of the Battle Report. We talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle. This is the After Action Report for the Golden Age, Battle Report number 143, and this one ended up being a victory for yours truly. In the end, I managed to score 2,113 victory points, while my opponent, Big Puka, scored 320. For Big Puka, he lost Skulltaker, the Sanguine Skinner, Arbaal the Destroyer, the Fangs of Nir, the Black Legion, the Marked Men, and the Scions of the Destroyer. For my losses, I lost the Thugs of Zabaro as well as Lucchini rifles. Currently, the Miragliano Mercenaries army's record is at 2 wins as well as 0 losses, and this battle was a much better test for my Miragliano Mercenaries because my first battle was a rookie disaster where only luck saved me on that one. This time around, I feel like I made better tactical choices, and to be honest, one of the things that really helped to tip the balance of my scale, the balance of my favor, was the magic phase. The magic phase is really my favorite. Big Puka doesn't have any real magical defense, so it really helped to augment my troops. Switching from Lower Shadow to Lower Metal was actually really helpful in this battle report because it ended up shoring up a lot of the weaknesses that I had in my army. Getting glittering skills to address my light armor, as well as enchanting blades of Iband to help out with my average kind of stats for shooting and attack, really helped out in this battle as well. Plus, the firepower in this army is truly awe-inspiring. I mean, the only other army that has this much firepower in it is probably the Nation of Fallen Holds, which is the dwarf army in our studio's collection. I have 20 crossbowmen, 40 handgunners, I have 3 cannons, and 1 revolt. It's absolutely insane how much firepower this army can actually bring out into the tabletop as well. Now, unfortunately, Big Puka, the reason why he lost this battle is because the dice were abandoning him for his charges. He was only getting 5 to 6 inches on his charges every single time he tried to throw them, so because it rolled a bunch of 1s every single time he did so, and so because he couldn't really close the distance with his forces, and since he couldn't close the distance, he really couldn't maximize the killing potential of his Chaos Warriors as well as Marauders, and what that does allowed me time to whittle down those 2 units really good with my long range fire, so by the time they tried to close the distance, I was pretty much lucky left for it. However, I still need to find a way to improve my deployment of my handgunners as well as my special infantry choices. I mean, the Curse Company is pretty cool, but I'm actually thinking about actually switching up a little bit and actually replacing with something else, but you know, this army's still in its infancy, so I'll have to see exactly what I'll do later on. Still, even though this is kind of army's kind of in flux right now, this was an extremely fun game against an awesome opponent, and as always, I am looking forward to the rematch. So that's good to do for this week, guys. Battle report number 143 is now in the books. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this week, guys. We'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.